But we know each other's quirks. I mean, she farts in bed and in the studio. And
out of bed.
And out of bed.
And next to the TV.
And I'm prepared.
And right now.
Yeah.
And right now.
Yeah, and right now.
Another one.
It's the Scott and Alley Not For Air podcast. The rules are gone. The shirt is untucked. Here's Scott and Alley.
I want to know why you two can't raise me up the way this just happened walking back into the building. I really want an explanation here, people.
What happened?
All right. This was a beautiful thing, a beautiful moment. By the way, it's the Scott and Alley Not For Air podcast, and we have a guest with us today. Allie, you do the introduction, then I'll tell you what I expect out of both of you.
Miss Viola, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
Our resident drag queen. We said, you know what? We've never had you on the podcast. We've had you on the show lots.
Yep.
But the podcast is something that I would like to hear what you have to say in long form.
Oh, well,
And
no, you don't.
Sometimes we don't know where it's going to take us. So wherever this goes. But here's what I expect.
What do you expect?
So I had to run out, drop a couple papers off for some business that I'm taking care of, and come walk in. Yeah, come walk into the. Boy, sometimes that's truer than not. Not in this case. But walking back in the building, and one of our radio station sales representatives is actually at the front door of the building and talking to someone who I believe was going to be a client and who knew who I was. And forgive me for not recognizing immediately. I was on a mission to get back to you two and you, all of you. And all of a sudden he goes, "What are you doing? Getting all skinny on me and whatnot?" I'm like, I'm trying. And because I have been told from time to time there's maybe fluffiness returning to my life a little bit, comfort, happiness, and so on. So I would expect from now on, look at you, man, look at all skinny and whatnot. It raised me up.
So you have not seen this person in a while, right?
I don't think I've ever seen him in my life, to my recollection, but they've seen me, and I don't want to. You know how it is. Everybody's a friend, or everybody's like, "Hey, how you doing?" One of those. But it was nice.
By the way, my cousin hates this because she's lost a lot of weight, and she's always like, "Was I fat before?"
Well.
Yes. Yes, you were.
As a matter of fact.
Take the compliment.
Right?
Yeah.
I know. I'm like, well, then what? I mean, isn't that part of the reason why you're doing it? Not only to look good, but also for someone to be like, yeah, damn, girl, you look good.
You got to figure anybody that's sitting there doing the whole, I'm doing it for me. You know what the for me is? For everyone to tell you how good you look.
Yeah, if you're doing it for you, you're not telling anybody you're doing it for you.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I said on the last podcast that I wanted to see how far you would go. So
Depends. What are we doing before?
Is this the first date, second date?
Is this like a Pizza Hut with buffet thing?
Hey, always a good time.
Now my boyfriend just went on a work conference and they were going to Lake Placid. He said it was going to take about 6.5 hours to get there. He was driving with him, his boss, and another coworker. How long does a work conference road trip have to be before you go, you know what? I'm going to drive myself 6.5 hours in the car with my boss. I would rather put a knife in my eye.
I mean, I like your boss. I don't know why you would say that. Such terrible things. 1 hour.
1 hour?
1 hour.
1 hour. Anything over that, no. When I drive, I've got things I listen to. I'm in the groove. I don't want to deal with anybody else. The temperature in the car is mine.
Yes.
All of that stuff. I can stop if I need to, when I want to. I don't want to have to worry about anybody else. If they're friends, that's different. But no, 1 hour.
That's what I'm saying.
6 is insane to me.
That's a
six
long
and a half.
one.
Well, especially if you're one of those people that you don't like to stop for a lot of potty breaks.
Yeah.
But then somebody in the car likes to stop. So then the trip just got even longer. And then wait a second. They were gone from Monday through Friday. So they were with each other all day at conferences, receptions, dinners. They were pretty much together from 7 to at least 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night every single day. No. So then you have to travel back with them and talk another 6.5 hours.
So here's a question. Zach and his boss, don't they get along very well?
Yeah, they are friends, but still I don't think Zach and I have spent 6.5 hours in a car together.
But hear me out. The third wheel in that, which was underneath both of them. I mean, it was a freaky road trip. I mean, somebody had to take the bottom of the pyramid, right? You know what I'm saying, Miss Viola?
Kind of like you right now if you're looking on YouTube.
Yes, I'm at the bottom. I'm supporting both right here, pushing both up.
That's right.
But you know, that's the one that's got to feel the most awkward. If Zach and his boss are actually social friends as well, you're going to find stuff to talk about. You already have common interests. You already have things like that. It's the third wheel that's sitting there going, how do I have to be? You can't pop a SBD in that car. And sometimes the bumps make that happen.
That's the other thing.
Well, whereas if you're with a friend, you know, you play the fart game all day long. You just don't tell anybody. And, you know, then suddenly they're like, window going down. They're like, man, that was rough. If you're, you know, number 3 and you're not on that level of some kind of friendship or, you know, pretty social. And I know this because I believe you have said you, Zach, and his boss and his wife have gone out a number of times.
Her husband, yes.
Her husband, rather. Sorry.
Yeah. His boss is a woman.
Yeah, so, you know, it's one of those things where...
Oh, a woman, even worse. No, I'm
I know, right?
So I'm totally kidding.
Those farts. But, you know, so it's one of those things where they've already got something. There's already a connection there. They're going to be fine. It's number 3. That's who it sucks for.
Well, and so there's the CEO. He's the COO. They're also on a different level work-wise, too.
Sure.
Like, obviously, they were picked to go because there was something of value there. But you're right. Then there's certain conversations I think that either one of two things is going to happen. Either they can't talk about certain things in front of that person.
Oh, for sure.
Because they're not in that management level, or that actually does open up conversations for that person to move into management level to the next point in their career because they kind of got chummy with the CEO.
No, the company's just too cheap to pay for 3 people to drive separately.
Okay, well, there's that.
I think at that point, though, you had said 1 hour. Would you at that point, say your company was like, no, we're not, we are too cheap, we're not paying for that. Would you end up saying, fine, I will take one for the team and I'm going to pay for my own gas?
Absolutely. I can one-up this entire conversation. I once applied for a job where if I was hired, I had to go out of state for training. Fine. They put you up. Fine. But they put you up with a total stranger. So you are sharing a bedroom, a hotel room, with a complete and total stranger for 2 weeks.
Yes.
You don't know this person. You know nothing about them, their habits, anything.
They could knife you in your sleep.
And you are stuck with them for 2 weeks in a hotel room.
No.
This reminds me, do you remember the story from our friend Heather that her son, when he first got to college, was living, this is the first couple weeks of college, was living with the stinky kid, never, not once, never showered, never picked up trash. Do you remember this story, Alan?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, this is what it reminds me of. I mean, you could get that. Now, there's the chance you could get the person that you become lifelong friends with, but I always err on the side of I don't know. There was recently a work conference that I could have put in for, and I would have been put in a hotel room with somebody. And I mean, as weird as it's going to sound, I probably could bunk with Allie in the overall room because we spend hours together each day. And I mean, it's not like we're going to be coming out of the showers naked or anything like that.
Right.
But we know each other's quirks. I mean, she farts in bed and in the studio. And
out of bed.
And out of bed.
And next to the TV.
And I'm prepared.
And right now.
Yeah.
And right now.
Yeah, and right now.
Another one.
So, you know, I know what I'm in for. And I also know she's independent. You know, if we get to a point where we've had enough of each other, I know she's going to go find something else to do while I eat Doritos on the bed and watch Batman. You know, I mean.
But wait a second. So that work conference that you're talking about, so our boss, she went to that work conference and she was supposed to stay with a stranger, and similar, Frank, Miss Viola, and she ended up, I think she ended up getting her own hotel room. She did exactly what you said. She was like, yeah, I have to get my own hotel room. I cannot share. I'm not one of those people. Because I've always said, or not always, I've recently said, I'm getting to the age where, for instance, I'm going to Nashville with my parents in November for my birthday. And my parents are like, oh, we'll put you on the pull-out couch. No, I am 41 years old.
No pull-out couch.
I am past that. I will absolutely buy my own room. I do not need to stay in the same room as my parents. I also do not need to stay in the same room as somebody in our company who I don't know, or the same with Frank, like somebody that you don't know. And then on top of that, Scott, I don't know if you heard this or not, but there was another conference. Our company apparently loves conferences. There was another conference where everyone was sharing a huge Airbnb. So it was the owner.
Ooh, that's a lot. You have to be on all the time.
That's exactly it. And that's what I don't like. So it was the owner, our director of programming, our director of creative, and then it was all these other moving pieces, parts, these other people. And that besides just they're going to find out that I fart in bed, but you have to be the most well-behaved, I feel like, the entire time.
And I like all the people.
I do too.
And when I say the term in doses, it could be long doses. I could, if we were on a business trip and we knew we were going to see them daily or whatever the case may be, that's fine. But you really need a spot. You gotta get your own place.
Right, a spot to decompress. And then I have one other thing too. Another conference. Our owner stayed in a room with one of our coworkers, and I said to her, I couldn't do it. Could not do it, because I also, and this is the same as the 6.5 hour car ride with the CEO, is, are you going to do something that makes me look at you differently? Whatever that something is. It might be like, you farting in the car or whatever.
Everybody's got tremendous gas.
But there's a line there. Like, and let's face it, I mean, this isn't the 80s anymore. Not that it was any safer in the 80s, but it's not necessarily safe anymore to be doing this. Like, I'm going to put you in a room with a stranger. You don't know what somebody's got going on, that maybe they're going to be freaked out by something that somebody does, and it's going to be very triggering for them, and it's like not going to be healthy for them. You don't know these people.
Which is why I said you're going to get knifed in your sleep.
So you're saying the word of the podcast is butt plug.
Yeah, well, it could be. Could be.
All right.
Could be.
Just want to make sure.
106 branded.
Yeah, wow.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Raised for your pleasure.
So, Scott, now Frank said an hour. What's your time? You're not going to travel 2 hours, 3 hours. Do you have a time limit?
And this is strictly a work thing.
The car ride. Yeah, this is we're going to a conference.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick real close to the hour and a half. I mean, we're about an hour and a half out of, like, let's say something was going on. Let's say it was an awards ceremony and the Scott and Alley Show was receiving an award. Might be happening this week, actually.
Right?
Or it might be happening. Oh, you stay right there. Well, look at this.
Total and complete hypothetical.
These are about to get paired up. This fine candy bowl and this...
a glass dildo.
Yes.
And what you eat cereal out of or not.
There it is. This used to be... I think somebody did eat cereal out of it. This is about to be sistered up with more awards this Thursday. Now, that's in Binghamton. And so that's a drive I would do with somebody. Rochester, Buffalo. I mean, but Buffalo's 2.5 hours. That's about the limit if I know I'm getting somewhere. Maybe New York City. But the minute we get out of that car, I don't want to see you for about 3 hours.
I can't even.
That's just it, though. Here's the thing. I have taken the bus to New York City so many times and been fine. So analyze that, people. Why does it bother me so much to be in a car with a coworker for that long?
Because you're never going to see those people except for maybe the bus ride back.
I can put headphones in. I can lay back. In the car, it's like I feel like I have to talk to
Everyone's fighting the cockroaches on the bus.
Yes.
It's a communal
Everyone's
thing.
going, ooh, the smell. It's the same. Yes.
Mine is no more than 3 hours. No more.
God bless you.
I know, but because then I just keep thinking of, it's not the ride there. I keep thinking of the ride home. Now, for some reason, I always anticipate, not always, but for this, I'm anticipating either the worst or I'm over it. I'm done. And now that last 3 hours is going to about dang near kill me.
Yeah. You're just ready to be done.
Right. On the way there, I can fill up 3 hours of conversation, music, whatever. 3 hours might have to be silent.
It's bad enough I have to be in a boat with two of you coming up soon for 2 hours.
For 2 hours. That's his cap.
Oy vey.
Yeah.
Plenty of time on the poop deck.
Other than that, I'm overboard. I'll float, thankfully, but that's...
I would not do New York City, by the way. Now, I would do... You had said New York City, Scott.
Yeah.
Couldn't do it because that is some stressful driving situations.
If you're driving.
And no, I think I'm an excellent driver.
Actually, I might, if we were going, I might put you behind the wheel right past Schenectady and just be like, have at it, sister.
Right, exactly.
I'm going to take a tranquilizer. Wake me up when we get to the Empire State Building.
This is the time where I'm like,
yeah.
I'm all over the place. I couldn't let someone see me like that.
I get it. Yeah.
All right, I'm going to give you another one. This is for Frank, since you are Miss Viola, since you are our visiting guest.
Okay.
All right, these are just quick easies, if you will. Met a guy in a dating app. Hit it off. We're going to go out. He's had to reschedule 4 times. Do I just move on? Tempted to try the 5th time.
Why are you rescheduling after the first time?
Well, I don't know.
Can't you give somebody a break of
No.
I don't know, they hit a deer.
No, it's a dating app.
But what if it was something they hit a deer?
How do I know they hit the deer? It's
because you're obviously stalking on social media and you see the pictures of their car wadded up.
No, one time. It's a dating app.
Really?
It's you got to move on. There's plenty.
You're vicious.
No, it's not vicious. It's reality. Like it's if somebody's rescheduling, it's like, maybe it's not going to work out. Probably not for the best. Like, if they make a real effort to stay in contact after they've had to cancel one time, okay, maybe a second time. But usually you're not going to get that. You're going to end up being ghosted. After the second time, no. They just don't want to meet.
You have to at least. Now, the 4th time, no. We wouldn't have even gotten to the 4th time. But as far as the first one, yes, I'm at least going to give you a chance on the first, because in my mind, in my hopeless romantic mind, I think, wait a second. I bet you this is going to be it. This is the one. And if I don't give him that second opportunity, then how will I know? It's that FOMO of relationships.
Allie's going to be on the Golden Bachelorette next season, apparently.
For sure.
Well, this is yet another reason that I'm so glad I've never had to use dating apps. I'm thrilled that I've never had to go that route.
No, I mean, women flock to you, Scott. I mean, it's
that's it. That's it.
I mean, what can I say?
Miss Viola, have you used dating apps?
No, it's just not for me.
Oh my God, you guys, see, this is again where, women flock to Scott, so he doesn't have to worry about it.
That is not true.
He doesn't have to worry about it.
That is absolutely not true.
Have you lost weight, Daddy? All the time.
No, that is not true. No, first of all, I'm not that kind of a good-looking person. I mean, sure, I have the gregarious personality.
You were very handsome.
What?
You were very handsome.
Well, and you're
you
beautiful.
Have a wonderful
Oh,
personality.
my
You're
God.
beautiful, and I'm sick of telling her.
Dumpster fire. But you, Scott? No, I'm kidding. She knows I love her.
So, can I ask a question? Which there's 2. But,
Yes.
So, for those that don't know, and Miss Viola, who is with us right now, we do have a big show coming up at the end of the week. So, when this podcast airs, there's a few days before we get to the big Dragged Out to Sea, which is always a great time. So, it's interesting because when you're in studio with us, and I'm curious to see how everybody reacts to this, how everybody deals with this a little bit different. And it's nothing to do with duct tape. But I'm curious to know how everybody does it differently. So Allie and I are naturally very up, I think, all the time people. She teases me all the time. Years ago, I think I stopped it over a while just because I was just like, okay, I think we get the point. I used to walk up the stairs. She'd hear me before I hit the studio. It'd be like, whoa, and it was
Did you
just.
think I was getting annoyed with it? Is that why you stopped?
I think I annoy you on multiple levels, and that may have been just one of the many.
That's accurate, but is that why you stopped it?
I just realized we're going to be up. I mean, that's who we are. We are naturally. I mean, do you want me to start it again?
Kind of. I kind of miss it, and honestly.
Because it's been gone for a while.
Yeah. Maybe I'll hate it after, like a year
Absence
of you
makes
doing
the
it.
heart grow
Yeah,
fonder.
right,
That's
exactly.
right. I don't know why. I do miss it.
But we're naturally up. Now, Miss Viola, you see us in all the settings. You see us naked in the bathroom getting out of the shower because those cameras still work.
Sure.
No, in all seriousness, you see us in the studio.
Scott
and then,
getting all skinny out of the shower.
Yeah, well, even I can see it now. The thing about it is we might be one level down from where we would be when we're doing the introduction on the boat. And we're like, hey, everyone, welcome to Dragged Out to Sea. But we're pretty close, Now, in your case, I don't want people to think you're not a wild good time. You're a little more relaxed right now, which is fine.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
where we are. What is it you do? How do you go from here, which is a good here? You're in a good place. Don't get me wrong. You're not bringing the energy down.
No, I'm
trust
perfect.
me.
I know.
Yeah, but how do you go from where you are, let's go day to day, to now I have to walk out in front of what is going to be well over 100 some people floating on a lake and put on a show? What is it for you that goes, we're going up?
So Allie knows this, I think, a little bit, but I don't know that you know this, Scott. I have actually really severe social anxiety. And a lot of people don't know that, and they're always very surprised to hear that.
Yeah, I am.
That an entertainer would have really severe social anxiety. I can take medication for it. Like, it's not, it's something I've never hidden from. It doesn't come up in day-to-day conversation, but yeah. So, I mean, I get in situations where I'm like, I need to go right now. Like, I need to leave from this spot. It's entirely too much. When I'm her, it's literally like somebody just flipped a switch.
Okay.
So every drag entertainer is different. Some of them are that personality the entire time. They are who they are 24/7. For me, when I put it all on, it really is like, I mean, I'm an actor first, and that is a character. And yes, that character could not exist without me, but when I am her, that is a character that I am playing, and it allows me to be a little bit more loose with my
she's
inhibition,
loose.
very loose, with my inhibitions, with like the humor and stuff. And it, like, I tell people this, and some people are like, don't say that about yourself, but I mean it. Miss Viola is a clown. Like, truly. Like, I look at her as a clown.
I get that.
Like, a clown is not the same when they're not, clowning around. That was terrible. But when they put the makeup on and everything else, they become something different. And that's it for me. That's really what happens to me when it switches over. And I'll see people on the street and they're like, "Oh, hi Viola, hi." And I don't care what people call me. It doesn't bother me. And I'm always like, "Oh, hello, how are you? It's very good to see you." I will always make time for people. But I think sometimes they think, "Oh, were you upset with me when I saw you in the store?" Like, no, I'm a regular person.
Yes, I get that.
I'm not Viola 24/7. And I don't think people quite get that all the time. They don't quite understand that.
Okay, I got a follow-up, and then this might make this a little bit harder to answer. I understand what you're saying, because people have I've said this before. You can put me in front of 80,000 people. I could go up right now to Highmark Stadium and introduce the Bills game and have no problem getting on the field in front of 80,000 people. Put me in a room of 4 people that are complete strangers. I don't love it. I might be able to gravitate towards it. Allie can do both. She could, we could be out in front of 80,000, but you're good with 4 people.
I prefer 4 as opposed to 40,000, because I really like to genuinely connect one-on-one.
I can see that with you.
Yeah. And I also, for me, I think that...
But you can do both. I've been with you, okay, not in front of 80,000 people, but in front of 5,000 a week ago.
It's funny you say that, though, Ellie, because when you and I did that bingo together, you were very different than you are, let's say, at Dragged Out to Sea.
Was it also that everything was failing before we got on the stage?
No. Everything was fine. Everything was fine. But there's 150, 200 people on the boat, depending, and you're very much like, okay, I'm done talking now. Here's the microphone. But at bingo, you were like really involved and engaged, and that was great. So I can see that with you, that there is a difference. You do like that connection. I can definitely pick up on that.
She had just farted before that and was trying to mask it. Back before.
Wait, but I have a couple questions too.
Yeah, well, if you go with yours, well, here, if I may finish this one,
ahead,
because
Scott,
it ties directly to what he was saying. So you had said, and I understand what you mean by saying it's almost like putting the clown face on. Are you expressing some of your inner self out of that and turning the switch on that way? Or are you, and I don't mean this mean, is it because there's a mask, you feel safe?
Both. It is 100% both. I think a lot of us that started doing drag because we weren't necessarily confident as who we were as people, and we could let those fears that we had that we wouldn't normally about how we wouldn't normally act in day-to-day life, we can act those out on stage. We can be a little bit more gregarious and boisterous, and for some of the performers to be sexy, because they don't feel sexy in their everyday lives as men and women, but when they're in drag as kings and queens, and especially this really goes, I think, a lot for trans people that do drag. And that is not an experience I will ever understand, full disclosure, but I have a lot of friends that have told me this, like they feel a lot more loose to experiment with other parts of themselves that they wouldn't necessarily do. For me, I spent a lot of years hiding behind Viola and never dealing with the person that I was underneath. And I stopped for like 8 months once and didn't do anything. And it was the best thing that I ever did, because it forced me to face Frank and deal with Frank and who he was. And then all of a sudden I realized, oh, I don't need her to hide. I can use her to be more of myself and to let all that expression and excitement I have inside of me out, but I don't have to hide behind her anymore like a mask.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes, it does. I also love that it has become a business for you too. I was bartending a wedding over the weekend, and you came up because she was like, oh, I contacted you. Bartending as a side hustle, but she had said, I contacted you through your Instagram page because I was looking for drag queens. You gave me some people, blah, 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 blah. And I obviously gave you because the professionalism and the business is like none other than any other drag queen. I think, maybe they don't look at it as much of a business, but you're kind of like the agent.
Well, I mean, I think you're right. And unfortunately, there are still a lot of people that don't consider us legitimate entertainment. And I can tell you, I have had audiences full of local Democrats, local Republicans, gays, straight, black, white, doesn't matter. I mean, I've had crowds full of all these people who on the street wouldn't speak to each other, but in that room, we're all laughing at the same joke that I told.
Oh, I love it.
And
wait, can we stop there? Because part of my question was that, like, how do you prep the actual commentary that you're going to give?
I don't.
Everything is ad-libbed?
Everything is ad-libbed.
You don't even like come in with a See, because I was thinking, well, maybe there would be okay, P. Diddy's in the news right now, right? And his disgustingness. But I could see where you would make some sort of joke or bring that little roast to the stage. So that's where I was thinking, I bet you she probably writes down a couple keynotes and then slides it in.
Nope. Anytime I have ever tried to do that, it came out so insincere.
Is it also because you have to see the room and feel the energy in the room?
Just took the words out of my mouth.
Yeah, I figured that's where you were going.
100% that. I don't know who is going to be in that crowd until I walk out there and see who's in that crowd, which is why I don't spend a lot of time out with the crowd before the show starts. I'm out there, but I'm not interacting necessarily. I'm watching people. And it's funny, I learned that from a hypnotist, honestly, years ago. That's how hypnotists tell who they're going to pick in the audience when they bring them on stage. They observe the crowd to see, okay, this person is not somebody that's going to be able to be hypnotized because they can't focus long enough to be able to do it. This person seems like they could potentially be. And a hypnotist taught me that years ago when I was still in high school. So I look at the audience. All right, who have I got out here? Who's going to be out here? I hosted a show years ago, and the guy that owns Hesselson's here at Elmira was in the audience. And I thought, okay, he's laughing at some of the stuff I'm saying. I'm going to push that envelope. And so I called him out in the audience and I said, oh, look, Tom Hesselson's here. I said, oh, Tom, you can poke in my corners later. And people that don't know this know that their slogan is it's fun to poke in the corners. And he laughed and the audience laughed. And it was like, okay, but I did the work to know that it was safe to do that.
Yes.
It also starts with me. If I and I learned this from Lisa Lampanelli, the comedian, you'll notice in her shows, people are like, oh, she's mean. She makes fun of people. No, she makes fun of herself first. And she opens that door and then she will take little jabs at people, but it's never mean and it's never hurtful. And so until I know who's in that crowd, I don't know what I'm going to say.
Wow, that really means you're connecting with them more than I realized then, because you are reading them without them knowing that you're reading them. Like you're really studying them. So that makes a lot of sense.
Like you'll notice with my shows, I always look for the obvious straight couple. You know, the straight woman who is, so eagerly excited to not be in her house, and her begrudging husband who is no doubt wearing something, Under Armour, camo, Realtree, something.
Oh yeah,
that's sitting there to let me know that he's straight. That's his that's his signal. Like, I'm
like, you're gonna look at him
no
and give him
here.
the gay disease.
Yes, literally. And I know that, like, okay, I'm gonna work on this couple the entire night. And by the end of the night, I've never not had, and I mean this, never not had that guy come up to me and shake my hand or even give me a hug and say thank you so much for a good night. It just lets people know that it's okay to think something is funny and to have fun.
Yeah.
Like, no one's judging you for this.
Yeah.
That's what we're all here for.
Yes. And is it safe to say, and I don't want to put the words into your mouth on this, I'm just going to set it up this way. Is it safe to say that what you do for people that might be, I don't want to use the term closed-minded. I want to use more of a, they're just not as...
They have very narrow horizons.
Yeah, they're just not as receiving to it there. Would you say that it's a broadening for them to go, oh, this is really more humor. This is not agenda driven. That's where I wanted to go with this.
Yeah.
When you're doing things, and obviously, listen, this may come as no shock or may come as a tremendous shock. Frank is straight. No, actually, okay. So
I'm like, what?
Where's Frank?
You're active in the gay community.
Yes.
Let's be real, okay? And as long as it's okay that I say that, if I've overstepped, please by all means. I already said you're straight, so we can backpedal.
I'm glad we're starting to get real now.
But
30 minutes in,
you're not in a situation, and it's important for people to know this because, and maybe I'm talking to a smaller group with this statement. You're not agenda driven when these shows are going on. This is 100%. And see, I know this, which is why I can walk into it going, "Oh, this is just going to be hilarious." This is not agenda driven, is it?
No, I mean, look at the world we live in today. I mean, to do a drag show and not make a joke about politics is kind of like, it's very hard not to, right? Because that's what's in our face every day. That being said, if I make a joke about politics on the boat tonight or this weekend, I'm not going to just make fun of, let's say, Donald Trump. I'm going to maybe make a joke about Joe Biden too, or what, because I know that I've got a mixed audience there, and I want people to know that I find humor in all of them. I think they're all lunatics for the most part, and some more than others, but I'm not going to shove my political agenda or what I believe in down people's throats. That's not, I'm not going to tell you, I'm not going to stand up there on a soapbox like a preacher and talk to you about, and postulate about the gay rights movement and how it started in 1969. Like, no, that's not what you're here for.
Did it really start in 69?
It did start in 69.
You cannot make that up.
It did start in 69.
Nice.
But we're there to have fun and to have a good time. And I want everybody to feel comfortable and to feel welcome. And that's why you make jokes about everything and everyone.
Mm-hmm.
I was just at the Finger Lakes Wine Festival, and similarly enough, we had a wine god and a wine goddess. So I was the wine goddess, this other guy was the wine god, and he actually gave a really beautiful speech, I think with a similar sentiment. And he basically said, hey, we're raising a glass and saying how we were about to come into a very tumultuous time in the next few months. And the one thing that we need to do is that we need to raise a glass, enjoy wine, remember what it is about just having relationships and being connected and finding common grounds. And like what you were saying, even if we feel differently about certain things, we can still love each other in that. And I said to him, I can't believe we're at this wine festival and you just gave one of the most beautiful speeches I have ever heard. And he goes, because I know the time that we're about to come into,
Absolutely.
But I know that there's things that do connect us. Humor.
Yeah.
Entertainment, wine, things like that. Those things that we know to be true.
Yeah. And that's 100% correct. And we're coming into a very difficult and hopefully not dangerous time in our world, but one that's really contentious. And at the end of the day, like, we're all human beings and we're all people, and we should just be able to laugh and just have fun together. And if you're not somebody that wants to be a part of that, you're the one that's going to be on the outside. You're on the wrong side of history there if you're not willing to just have a good time and let go of, and maybe you'll learn something, God forbid. Maybe you'll learn something at the drag show. You know what I mean? Maybe you'll have a little fun. Maybe your heart will soften a little bit. Maybe your views on things will be a little bit different. And not that I'm expecting that, but it's nice when it happens, you know?
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
All right. But I know we're getting close to a point where we got to wrap up, and I want to do something that I've not done with a guest on the podcast. But legitimately, you're one of the guests that I can do this. We're going to play a little round of one want, one need, and favorite appetizer.
Ooh, wow.
So one want. You can start it at any of the three. One want, one need, and favorite appetizer. What would you like to start with?
This is very serious.
Well, it doesn't
favorite
have
appetizer?
to be.
Yes.
The appetizer?
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially when you're at a table and there's like 6 people trying to decide. This is the tough one.
Favorite appetizer. I will say, I love a good dip. Mm-hmm. Love a good dip. Love a warm dip.
Because
like
when you dip, we dip.
Yes.
Well, you know.
No, I love a good dip. I love, oh my God. You'd have thought like you asked me to give me my firstborn. No, love a good dip, love a good, okay. So there's a restaurant in Binghamton that I am obsessed with, and they have 2 of my favorite appetizers ever. I'm going to use 2 because I can. One is buffalo Brussels sprouts.
Ooh, nice.
So they fry the Brussels sprouts and get them super crispy and put them in their buffalo sauce and serve with their homemade blue cheese. It's unbelievable. And the other is their spinach and artichoke dip. That's homemade. And it is like heaping full of, it's not like when you go to chain restaurants and it's just like cream and a little few green things. It's like full. Amazing, amazing, amazing. And a want and a need. Mm-hmm. Oh man, I want people
and don't say I want the spinach dip right now. I want the
spinach dip, and I need the Brussels sprout. No, I want people to pull their heads out of their asses a little bit more often, and stop being ostriches and see the world has a lot of positivity in it. Definitely want that, and I need wigs for drag queens to be a lot less expensive than they are.
Fair enough.
It's a lot of hard work. I know to do, but I really don't want to keep paying $300 for a wig.
$300? Wow.
Oh my God.
Oh, insane.
Wow.
When you first started, you probably started in like the costume store.
Oh shit.
Cheap.
I mean, the Annies in Elmira, are you kidding me? We were in there every single week.
Yes, I remember.
Flat hair.
Yes, all my costumes that I've worn for Halloween. It is like straw, and I'm trying to brush it, and it's just, I'm like half bald on one side. I'm like, okay, well, I'm bald Barbie. It's fine. No problem. No problem at all.
Night and day now.
Yes. Oh, those are great ones. I love that. Now, do you guys ever exchange wigs, or is that a...
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. We buy from each other all the time. Are you kidding me? Oh, constantly.
I wasn't sure because you know how people are like weird about head germs and... Like, I probably wouldn't buy a hat.
We take dollar bills out of people's mouths. You think we're worried about, you know?
Have you ever met a germaphobe drag queen?
No.
Okay.
You can't be. There's no way. Like, there's no possible way. You would never touch your money. You would never, like, no.
Yep.
No. You get over that real fast.
Okay, wait. I have 2 more questions. Then we can go because we do have a promotions meeting in 4 minutes, so we do have to go.
Like the last time I was here and you had a promotions meeting and you were 20 minutes late?
We always have a promotions meeting. My significant other always
It's not a work conference. It's a...
right? A meeting about a meeting. Okay. Do you have any... Going back to the like prepping and you know, I asked about writing jokes and things like that. Is there anything that you have that is like a pre-show tradition? It might be like eating a certain thing, or do you do vocal exercises or anything like that?
It was just funny.
As you wheeze.
I was going to say, I thought I heard a whistle.
You know, no, I always take a moment to just kind of stand by myself, even if I'm surrounded by other people. And I always just kind of close my eyes and put my head down and just tell myself, okay, you got this. You're going to be great. Go out there and do it every single time. And this is, you know, a little tug at the heartstrings. I have to have my mom either say to me or text me, break a lash.
Oh my God.
Wow.
If I leave the house and she doesn't say that, because I do live at home to help take care of my sister. if she doesn't say it or text it, I feel very weird. So I have to hear that from her as well too.
Please, for all that is good and holy, do you have any tattoos?
Yeah.
Please get Break a Lash tattooed on you.
I can't see it on the camera, but it's a Robin Williams quote. It says, "We are only given a little spark of madness. We mustn't lose it."
Oh, I love that.
That's great.
Yeah.
But I feel like you need to get Break a Lash.
I know. I need to.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What was my last question? Shoot, now I don't remember. I lost it. I don't know.
My last question is, I need to know the recipe for those buffalo Brussels sprouts.
Amazing.
I did. I remember it. What is the song that you are sick of performing to?
Wow. Oh, man, you were like hitting me with some hard ones today.
Oh, am I? Okay.
A song that I'm sick of performing to.
If you say It's Raining Men, I agree.
It's, the song I'm really sick is We Are Family. Like, I think every non-drag show DJ thinks that that's like the greatest idea they've ever had, and that they're the first ones that have ever had it. And so they play it, and it's like the go-to for everything. And it's like, enough already. Yes, we're family. We get it. Oh, for fuck's sake, we don't care anymore. Like, it's just too much. It's too much. And I get really tired of like seeing other girls do like, when girls are fighting over the same new pop song at a show. Well, it's my turn to do Hot to Go. Well, no, I'm going to do Espresso. It's like, girls, enough.
Yeah.
No one wants to see you do either. So just stop. I'm kidding.
The honesty.
Kidding.
I love it. Oh my gosh. Well, we do really have to go to a promotions meeting, so we are going to have to wrap it up.
Just like Frank will be doing when he becomes Miss Viola.
Literally.
Hey now.
Miss Viola.
What? I didn't even get a smile out of that. Just that shit.
No, it's just there's the reminder of like, oh, I do have to do that. God.
Oh, God. You must have good Spanx.
Yeah. Yes. Love a good spank.
Me too.
My butt's still red.
That you get a smile for.
On that note.
We will see you on the boat on Friday. And anyone that has not been on Dragged Out to Sea, next time that ship sets sail, you got to come out. It's great.
So much fun. Oh, wait. Where can they follow you before you go?
Instagram is the best spot. Miss Viola Forever. MISSVIOLA. The number 4 EVA Forever is the best place to follow.
Got that from the movie Fear, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, bye.
Bye.
Well, that was fun. Wasn't that fun? That was fun. Do us a favor, will you? Subscribe. Share the Scott and Allie Not for Air podcast. Touch our buttons. We know you want to.